What is up guys, and welcome back to another video. So if you've been watching me for a while, then I made some videos talking about the botting issue in World of Warcraft, and before I get into the video itself, which will be a rant on botting in World of Warcraft, I wanna ask you guys to please drop a like on the video, so we can push it into the algorithm, and we are also really close to hitting 30k subscribers, which would be an incredible milestone to hit by the end of the year, so please consider helping me reach that milestone by smashing the sub button as well. So this all started in BFA and continued into Shadowlands as well, where I watched multiple bots take over raw gold farming location, and as someone who really enjoys farming and making gold, it really pisses me off. Then I started playing Classic WoW, where I noticed the botting problem was way worse, especially inside the dungeons, and now with TBC Classic being out, the botting problem is actually way worse than ever. Bots are taking over every type of gold farm, and they are not just botting. At this point they are botting and hacking, and somehow they are getting away with it. Bots in TBC Classic are incredibly transparent, you can find them anywhere, and I've already made several videos on botting in TBC Classic, where I showcase how many bots there actually are, and where to find them. For example, in the lake outside Shatrath, you can find feral druids, warlocks and hunters constantly botting, farming for primal water. Also, to showcase them not getting banned, I found a bot back in July, which was a level 61 hunter botting in this lake. Over a month later, pretty much 6 weeks later, I went back to the same lake, and now this hunter was level 70, still botting in the exact same lake, and that is after I reported him twice on 2 accounts, as well as showcased the bot's name publicly in both my videos. On top of this, you have multiple bots northeast in Sangormarsh farming the elementals for herbs, and you will also find bots in the eastern part of Hellfire Peninsula farming primal shadows. These open world bots are generally using communal trinkets, or in some cases they have bought BOE trinkets, which can be funny as they even buy trinkets with no stats, such as the Eye of Shadow, but it's usually either communal gear or bound on equip gear. That being said, these bots aren't actually the worst. Even though they are also quite bad, they are not the worst. You have several bots inside specific dungeons looking for herbalism and mining nodes, and they are the worst. And here's the kicker, these bots are hacking to obtain these herbalism and mining nodes, instead of gathering them in the way that a real player would. Example number 1 is this mage inside Slave Pens that started flying into the air and hacking through the roof, for then to go further into the Slave Pens and bypass all of the mobs. Using the same mechanics, this bot can clip through the walls and the floor to obtain every resource without getting attacked by the mobs. Example number 2 is from Joker TV on Twitch, where he tried to get into a group with a bot, for then to expose how the bots are farming inside mana tombs. Once he got into the group with a bot, you can see the bot is hacking through the floor, and then moving diagonally through the wall, for then to find herbalism and mining nodes, and gathering them without the fear of getting into combat. This means that bots inside instances no longer have to be rogues or druids, because having the ability to stealth is irrelevant, as they are hacking through the floor. And before anyone asks if you do want to get into a group with a bot, to check for yourself, the most used method is to play on a PvP server, get the bot killed, then inviting the bot to the second he gets killed. The bot will either accept your invite when he's releasing the spirit, or when he's at his corpse about to resurrect, because your party invite window will be in the same location as the Resurrect Now button, which will trigger the bot to actually accept your party invite. So the point of this video is to show how blatantly obvious it is to find these bots these days, and while you could argue that bots in the open world could be real players that are just acting dumb and farming gold 24/7, and that it could be difficult for Blizzard to identify a bot in the open world, once you go into mana tombs or slave pens, and you see the bots legitimately hack through the wall and the floor, it is incredibly easy to find these bots, and it would require little to no effort at all on Blizzard's part to actually start banning them. Hire one game master to go through all instances of mana tombs and slave pens, and ban anyone that is hacking through the floor or the wall, and you've got to start. but at the moment it doesn't seem like Blizzard is even doing that. Of course, they could be doing it behind closed doors, but based on the fact that I found a bot at level 61, then found him again 6 weeks later at level 70, still botting in the same location, I think that paints a clear image that Blizzard aren't banning the bots. On top of that, I've kept the screenshots of the names of rogues and mages that are guildless inside specific dungeons, and many of those same names are still in those same dungeons, 6 weeks later. So all of this information is basically just to tell you guys that Blizzard are not banning bots, not in retail nor in TBC Classic, and they did have a couple of ban waves in Classic WoW, but it's nowhere near close enough to what I expect from such a huge company when it comes to taking care of their game. So that brings me to my question and the title of this video, which is why Blizzard aren't banning bots in World of Warcraft. This is going to be a lot of speculation based on my opinion on the subject, since I don't know anyone who works at Blizzard, nor do I have any insider information from their company, but what I do have is a lot of knowledge from bot developers and ex-bot developers that have contacted me on Discord after I made my botting videos, that have now answered several of my questions in depth, with a lot of in-depth knowledge on the topic. So question number 1 is, can Blizzard even fix the issue, if they wanted to? The quick answer would be yes, but it would take time and constant development and security improvement on Blizzard's part. Bots in general are always improving in one way or another, making them more difficult to separate from real players by either adding more lifelike movements or just in general different things to make them more hidden. On top of this, Blizzard could send out cease and desist letters to bot developers, as finding different bot programs these days is incredibly easy, and finding out who owns them is also not really difficult. On top of this, they can strike multiple bot programs by simply shutting down one type of enabler program, but they would still have to target a lot of bot programs individually. So if they can fix it, why aren't they? Well, I just said it would require constant development and security improvements. When I say security improvements, I mean game security improvements that makes the game's code less vulnerable to hacking. I also said it would require constant development and constant upkeep of their game itself, which would mean either hiring more people or splitting up their resources so people could keep up with banning bots, which is a money investment. This brings me to my next point. By banning bots, Blizzard is literally working against themselves when it comes to their business. This one sentence pretty much sums it up. Spending money to make themselves lose money and show less monthly active users than they realistically have playing their game is against their own best interests. You could argue that bots in general are killing the game, but the sad part is that a lot of people don't care about the bots, and some people even think bots are good for the game because it provides them with cheap materials. And apparently, enough people are still paying their subscription to the point where Blizzard can say that they are doing a good job, or a good enough job, with how they are handling the botting situation, because the truth is, if Blizzard did not think it was financially smart for them to keep the bots around, then they would get rid of them in a heartbeat. You also have a nice controversial theory that I have mentioned in quite a few of my botting videos, which is that I think one of the reasons why they aren't banning bots is so they can introduce the WoW token into TBC Classic, and maybe even Classic Fresh, and if they let the botting problem go way out of control, which I would argue it already has, then they could introduce the WoW token and sell it as a strategy to fight against botting and gold selling, and that would probably make a lot of people be more in favor of the WoW token than they would otherwise be. So to sum it up, bots are taking over, bots are out of control, you will find them in the open world both in TBC Classic and retail, and they are even hacking inside dungeons to clip through the wall, and getting away with it because Blizzard is financially incentivized to not do anything about it. Time to go back to Voldemort servers, boys. Anyways, that is pretty much it. This is probably going to be my final rant on botting in TBC Classic, at least for a while, as I have now shown exactly how the bots are operating. I've shown that they don't get banned, or at least I've shown some examples of it. I have shown exactly where they are botting, And now we have the conclusion of my botting series, which is why Blizzard is not doing anything about it. I hope you guys did enjoy the video despite my rant, and once again please consider dropping a sub to help me reach that 30k milestone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.